Professor Aldry Henry Lee, the Pro-Vice Chancellor, Graduate Studies and Research, and Chair of today's conference. The Honorable Ministers present, Ms. Olga Isaza, the representative of UNICEF Jamaica, distinguished faculty and students of the University of the West Indies, members of the organizing committee of the 20th Annual Caribbean Child Research Conference, development partners, our teachers and practitioners, Caribbean youth ambassadors and youth leaders, and most importantly, the children and adolescents who are at the heart of this gathering and the reason why we are gathered here today. Good morning to all of you. Thanks for the invitation to join your august body. I am humbled by your invitation for me to deliver the keynote address for this, your 20th Annual Caribbean Child Research Conference. It is really a privilege to join you, and this forum has evolved into a singular regional space where scholarship meets advocacy and where children's voices take their rightful place alongside research and policy. Staging the Caribbean Conference for the 20th time is indeed a milestone, and I congratulate you on your persistence and dedication to make this platform available on such a consistent basis. I want from the onset to express my sincere regrets for not being able to be with you in person. Of course, were it not for the passage of Hurricane Melissa, this conference would have taken place on November 6th, and I would have been right here with you. But that phenomenon which poured damage, devastation, and destruction upon Jamaica caused a postponement to today. I take this opportunity to express my deep personal anguish for the pain felt by those directly and indirectly affected. I sympathize with the families and loved ones of those who lost their lives and livelihoods, and I stand in solidarity with you and the rest of Jamaica as you pull yourselves back into shape and confront the reality of returning your country to its rightful place of catering for the needs of every citizen. Whilst the devastation caused by Melissa is still visible and apparent, the mere fact that this conference is able to be convened today is testimony of the resilience of the people and the fortitude of the spirit of the nation. Just as Olive Senior reminds us in her poetry on survival, that out of hardship, the new and beautiful always emerges. I say to you, Jamaica may have been bent, but you are not broken. Melissa may have tested the foundation upon which Jamaica was built, but I have no doubt that it has also revealed the courage that built that foundation. You will rise again because resilience is rooted in you, in your indomitable spirit, and in your drive to do well for your people. Now that you have reconvened, I am dismayed by the fact that the best suited day on the calendar happens to be the day that all St. Lucians of voting age have been called upon to exercise their most solemn and sacred duty, that of electing a government to run the affairs of the country for the next 5 years. I again regret that my obligation to exercise my franchise has prevented me from being with you in person today. Be that as it may, I am honored to be sharing some thoughts with you as we kick off this very important conference. As adults, we have an obligation to our children. Foundational sociological theories, and in particular, symbolic interactionism, provides us with frameworks for understanding our role in shaping society and contributing to children's welfare. In the academic sphere, sound research is required to understand the evolving role of the society and how it is impacting children. And through our respective institutions, effective child development programs are designed, implemented, analyzed, shaped, and reshaped to ensure our children receive the best quality services that we can afford. It is with that in mind that I commend you on the theme of your conference. Leaving no child behind is a variant of the universal theme of the United Nations 2030 Development Agenda of leaving no one behind. It is commendable that the UWI, our premier tertiary education institution in CARICOM, is seeking to engage in discourse that specifically draws attention to the kinds of research, policies, and programs that will bridge gaps for marginalized children in the Caribbean. Decades of research have revealed that in the Caribbean, children face marginalization due to poverty, disability, migration status, and violence. And in recent times, agencies such as UNICEF, UNESCO, and Save the Children have documented these challenges, often pointing to the specific impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. The research community participating in today's conference must be complimented for placing the matter of children at the center of your research agenda. And given that this is the 20th time that you are putting on this conference, I compliment you again for the persistence with which this has been done. I invite you to consider that the basis for effectively addressing the foundation of leaving no child behind is anchored in our overall human development agenda. As a simple comparison of countries with a high score on the Human Development Index, the HDI, will reveal that child marginalization is lower in these countries than in those where HDI scores is low. In other words, there is an inverse relation between HDI ranking and child marginalization. Our Caribbean civilization has always embraced children and youth, and today I want to recognize the efforts of institutions such as CARICOM and its CARICOM Ambassadors Program and the Commonwealth Youth Program, which for decades provided youth leaders with opportunities and avenues to be a part of and contribute to national and regional development. I also remind you of the invaluable contribution that our national youth councils have made to child and youth development in the Caribbean. Young people who had their groundings in these movements have made a sterling contribution to our region. Permit me to mention a few. The Honorable Mario Michel of St. Lucia, the first president of the St. Lucia National Youth Council, grew to become his country's Deputy Prime Minister and subsequently Acting Chief Justice of the OECS Supreme Court. The Honorable Chad Blackman, a former youth ambassador of both the CYP and CARICOM, currently serves as Member of Parliament and Minister of Education in his home country, Barbados. Mr. Joel Richards, a former CARICOM youth ambassador, is currently the Director of External Trade in the Directorate of CARICOM Single Market and Trade in Barbados. Mr. Ty McKenzie, a former youth ambassador from the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, currently serves as his country's Consul General in Atlanta. Ms. Ildis Pollack-Bagel, a former Dean of the CARICOM Youth Ambassador Corps, rose to become the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Suriname. Dr. Chantal Monroe-Knight, a former president of the Barbados Youth Development Council, is currently a senator in the Barbados Parliament and holds the portfolio of minister in the office of the Prime Minister in Barbados. The list of Caribbean youth who have blazed the trail of leadership includes former CARICOM Youth Ambassador and current Minister of Foreign Affairs of Suriname, the Honorable Melvin Bouvard, and the current Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Education in St. Kitts and Nevis, the Honorable Dr. Jeffrey Hanley. I too am a product of the regional youth and students movement. Starting originally at the national level, I served as the General Secretary of the St. Lucia National Youth Council, President of the Caribbean Federation of Youth, President of the Guild of Students at the Mona campus of the UWI, and the Regional Director of the Commonwealth Youth Program for the Caribbean and North American region. I share these examples not to boast of the tremendous strides of these individuals, but more importantly, to inspire the children and young people participating into this conference by making it clear that if these former youth leaders could rise to such prominence, you too can grow up to be leaders within your respective areas of interest. You too can take on the reins of leadership in your countries and region. You too can inspire other young people to take on the mantle of service to country and region. I therefore look forward to the cornerstone of building a sound future being properly laid through the effective and meaningful engagements with our young people and those dedicated to the advancement of sound programming for youth development in our region. Your decision to interrogate bridging the gaps for marginalized children in the Caribbean is opportune. It comes at a time when the region is grappling with a future that is pregnant with possibilities and opportunities. Whether it is in sports where children are brought from obscurity to the main stage of international competition, and I think specifically of Jamaican twins Tia and Tina Clayton from the sleepy town of Hanover in Jamaica, and Julian Juju Alfred from the quiet community of Cicero in Castries, St. Lucia, to music and the arts that have produced the popular young brother of Sea Lots in Port of Spain, Trinidad, to Christina Hinkson, a biotechnologist from Grenada working on gene editing and crop engineering for climate-resilient agriculture. These young people are showing that hidden in the inner core of the Caribbean child are talents and capabilities that simply need to be harnessed and placed in the right environment where potential can be converted into unparalleled performance. Our children and young people are a treasure to our nations and a gift to the future. We must therefore ensure that they are cared for, understood, socialized to become valuable and upright citizens, equipped with the knowledge and skills to drive the next iteration of Caribbean development. As a research community, the academics gathered here today are all too familiar with the evolving paradigms of regional development. Artificial intelligence and machine learning are fast becoming ubiquitous, and any consideration of what the future will look like cannot be oblivious to the technological advancements that are already shaping the way we conduct business, the way we teach, the way we conduct research, and the way we assess the quality of service delivery across the various parts of our society. Children and youth must be at the center of this transformation. And it is my expectation that during today's conference, attention will be placed on narrowing the digital divide, enhancing access to modern technologies, and establishing businesses that leave no child straddling behind the inevitable yet basic requirements for harnessing young people's contribution to the Caribbean we are all dedicated to. This is an opportune time for me to inform you that CARICOM itself is engaging in research on children and youth. On the 22nd of October 2025, the CARICOM Secretariat, in collaboration with UNICEF, launched a regional survey publication on the children in the media and youth. The report highlights anxiety, depression, trauma, and help-seeking patterns across our member states. Accompanying this publication are practical tools for action. We are encouraging ministries of education, health, and youth, along with schools, NGOs, and faith-based and community groups to utilize those tools to safeguard the psychosocial and emotional health of our children and adolescents. Given the psychosocial disruptions brought about by Hurricane Melissa, these tools are immediately available for use and professional intervention in communities experiencing a sudden increase in disaster-related psychosocial trauma. I encourage the use of those tools. I want to close by reminding ourselves that in the CARICOM region, 63% of the population is below the age of 30, and although gaps in the data may obscure a definitive statement, the World Bank and UNFPA figures suggest that the population between 0 and 14 years is approximately 23% in Latin America and the Caribbean. This means that we have a very youthful population, and it is incumbent upon us to place particular focus on the cohort of the population as we seek to address the vagaries of our ever-evolving Caribbean society. Through research, the society is better able to understand the children and youth dynamic, and policymakers are better placed to design and implement evidence-based interventions that address the specific and peculiar needs of that significant age group. I am hopeful that this forum will allow for us to gain an understanding of the impacts that pandemics and natural disasters associated with climate change are having on our societies and on our children and youth demographic in particular. Factors such as learning loss, food insecurity, safety and human security, economic and financial setbacks, crime and violence, and negative socio-cultural influences on children and youth must be brought to the fore. This conference affords us an opportunity to combine research with practice, and as we design models to better equip ourselves for the future that lies before us. I take this opportunity to once again salute your efforts to critically examine the progress made across the region in advancing children's rights. The United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child succinctly captures our obligations, and our research agenda is sufficiently grounded on uncovering what we as a Caribbean society must do to prepare our children for the future and to prepare our societies for the critical role that our children and youth must play in the advancement of our Caribbean civilization. Thank you once again for the opportunity to address you, and I wish you success in the rest of your deliberations for today. I thank you.